Hey there, internet wayfarers. I'm your host, the Bread Pirate, and today I want to ask the question, should you be yourself? Should you just be yourself, or should you aspire to be something better? I thought this was a really straightforward question when I started recording this video, and in fact, my first intro I recorded for this was, be yourself. Pfft, couldn't be me. But then after thinking about it for a day, I came back and I'm like, actually, wait a minute, this deserves some merit. We gotta think about this. But first, I want to show you guys something really cool I just discovered. So it has to do with dekubabas. Now, normally, you kill one of these guys and you'll see their head went from blue to brown. But I'm gonna show you the cool thing. If we take a boomerang over here and I approach this dekubaba like this, when you grab it with a boomerang, you grab it so quickly it doesn't have time to deteriorate the head, so it stays blue, which is kind of neat. And then if I set it down, that was pretty cool, not gonna lie. That was really cool. You gotta admit, right? But now back to our discussion at hand. Should you just be yourself, or should you try to be better than yourself? And I've been thinking about this because I've been trying to digitize all my family recordings from the early 2000s and also 2010s. Tens? Is that what you call that? What do you call that time period? I actually have no idea. Is it called the 2010s? 20-teens? I don't know, it doesn't matter. And I was noticing in a lot of those recordings from the 20-teens that I tried doing something really awkward with my voice. I kept on trying to lower my voice, lower than it actually was, and I was talking like this all the time, and it was just really terrible. And it got me wondering, should I have tried to change my voice during that time period, or should I have just accepted who I was? And it made me realize that this is a really complicated question, because there are some things which you just have to live with, but there are other things which you can change and you should try to be better at. For example, in third grade, there was this one student I knew who had a lot of trauma because his parents were terrible with last names. I don't know whose idea it was, but the mom had a really long last name and the dad had a really long last name, and instead of picking one, they combined both last names. It was 25 letters long, it had a dash in the middle, nobody could pronounce it, not even the teacher. And this poor kid had to somehow learn how to spell it. I could see why he had a lot of trauma. But also, he was going through an awkward phase of his life. You know, he was a scrawny little guy, and that's coming from me. I'm a pretty scrawny little guy, but like, he was something else. He was a scrawny little guy, he had braces, he had glasses, and his voice was really high-pitched. And of course, he was very emotional and cried all the time. And I mean, can you blame him? I mean, 25 letters, sheesh. So one day I was in the hallway talking to him, and he was crying, as he normally did. And he was always moving schools. This is another part of his trauma. And he was saying, how come nobody wants to be my friend? And I was like, dude, just be yourself. And you know, that's kind of insensitive to say, but also now I wonder, was that true? Should he have just been himself, or should he have done something to fix his situation? And I don't know. I honestly have no clue. That's kind of the question, isn't it? Should you do something to fix yourself in a situation like that, or should you just embrace who you are? And I think the answer is more complicated than either or. It's probably a little bit of both, isn't it? For example, this poor kid, whose, again, name I cannot remember or pronounce, he couldn't do anything to fix the fact he was scrawny and small, aside from maybe work out, but like, come on, he's third grade. What is a third grader gonna do, right? And he can't really do much about his glasses, but maybe he could get contacts. But what he could have done is he could have changed his mindset and his philosophy, his personality. Those are things that are changeable. And I've been thinking about how that is something that you can have an actionable impact on. Like in high school, I once knew this guy named Jimbo who was pretty quiet and reserved most of his time. He was just kind of a geek that stayed in the back of the classroom. But then his last year of high school, he became a senior, and he said, hey, I want to do something with my life. I'm going to become the coolest student ever. And he got involved in everything. I mean everything, man. He was getting involved in the school musicals. He was getting involved in the dances and the prom. He was doing sports he never had done before. It was crazy. And he went from being this kind of unsuspecting guy that was just a geek to being the cool kid in the school. He did something to make his life more interesting. He wasn't just Jimbo, he was Jimbo. And you know, I think about that a lot. Like, you can change who you are, but you can't change those physical characteristics. Those are the parts of you that you just have to be authentic to and accept. I think that makes sense. Maybe, does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. You know, maybe the reason high school and middle school is so awkward is because it's the phase of your life where you're figuring out which parts of you can be altered and which parts you're stuck with. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. I think that there are some fish in here, and yes, there are. Did you guys see that? There's fish in here. What the heck? I didn't know there were fish in here. Dude, I could go fishing right now. There you go. All right, little fishies, start biting. Get it. Get him. I got a little worm on the end of this one. You got to get him. Get him. Get him. Come on, get him. Catch him. Get him. Okay, that's incredibly depressing. It turns out those fish are not catchable. But I've always thought it's important to make yourself better, to try and do something to improve your life rather than just accept mediocrity or accept the place in life you are in right now, because there's always something you can change. There's always something you can be better at, unless you're perfect. If you're perfect, please let me know. I am looking for recommendations. But I think there was only one perfect person to ever live, and that was Jesus. So that's why me and most other Christians, actually all other Christians, try and follow his example and figure out how we follow him. But even if you're not Christian, you can still find somebody as a role model to follow. Finding a role model is easy. You just look for a bunch of people who you like and you want to be more like, and then you mimic the things you like about them. Like, for example, if you want to be a better YouTuber, you might find a YouTuber who you want as a role model. Or if you want to be a better brother, then you find a cool brother or like a friend that has a friendship that's brotherly to you, and you try and mimic them. Or if you want to be a cool old person, then you find an old person you like, and you mimic them. It's really that simple. It's a two-step program. You find an old person, and then you act like the old person. And that's all I got for today. It was a very simple, small video. I've been enjoying doing these blogging style videos where I'm just sharing my thoughts and you guys listen and sometimes give me criticisms because I said something stupid, and I enjoy that. Also, shout out to Emberfire who let me use their art for the thumbnail. You can find a link to their channel in the description below. So until I see you next time, have fun storming the castle.
Hey,